about elementals. Yeah, elementals are beautiful little nature spirits, right? There are crystals are elementals. Your friend's dad also sees elementals. Yeah, I work with we that's the thing. When we work with crystals, they don't want us to take a passive role and be like, ooh, heal my heart chakra. Ooh. No, we treat the crystals like we would treat any other spirit guide, right? You want to talk to the crystal. You want to talk to the elementals that are living inside of that crystal. That crystal is alive. And so we want to communicate with the nature and the intelligence that's inside of that crystal and talk to it. Instead of saying, heal my heart chakra, say, hey, what's going on? What's the best thing for me to do to really get to the root cause of what's going on with my heart chakra? Can you point me in some directions? Can you, let me know, is there a healing modality? Is there a therapy that I should get into? Is there somebody that I should work with? Can we talk a little bit more, right? And really work with that elemental as you would with any other professional advisor. Oh, that's so beautiful, Anna. Anna says she's with my guide in my guided audio. She did the exercise this morning, and her guides were there, but saw her grandma, and she hugged her. Oh, your grandma hugged. That's so beautiful. That's so beautiful, Anne. Thank you so much for sharing that. I'm so happy for you. Yeah, Mish Allen. Hopefully, I'm sorry if I'm butchering that name. Mish Allen for the win. Yeah, everybody can communicate with spirits. We all can. Everybody can do it. It's an innate ability. It's something that we all have the ability to do. PSI, what's happening, paranormal? Thanks so much for the heart. I appreciate that. Thank you, everyone, for the follows. Thank you, everyone, for the likes. Um, Travel, thanks for the rose. Who is this? Livian Storm. And again, I'm sorry if if I butcher your names here. Excuse me. I'm sorry. Let me click on your name. Live. Okay, Live for short. Live Storm. Sometimes spirits show up, but they won't say anything. So, what would you do if somebody was standing in your living room that you didn't know and not saying anything? What would you do? Would you ask them why they're not saying anything? We need to treat spirits and spirit world exactly like we treat the living. It's no different. All spirits are people that aren't in a body. That's it. That's all they are. We should treat them the same and treat the conversations that we have with them the same. So if they're not saying anything, say, hey, why aren't you saying anything? Can you communicate in a way that I understand you? Can you come closer? Can you speak up? Can you speak louder? Why are you looking that way? Why aren't you paying attention? Can you hear me? Right? And just keep asking and conversating with the spirit until they give you an answer, until you figure out and investigate what's going on. Most of the time, what you'll find is because they don't really need to move their mouth to communicate. Most of the time, what you'll find out is that they are communicating with you, but on a vibratory level, like telepathically. You'll feel the vibration of it. Okay, and if clairaudience isn't your dominant, isn't one of your strengthened psychic senses, right? You don't need to have like your clairvoyance, clairaudience, and all that other stuff strengthened and honed in order to communicate it. You can just have one. You can just do the whole interaction with the spirit through feeling, right? Without even seeing it. Okay, you can do everything, communicate, know who it is, all of that stuff, get so much psychic information just through feeling. Okay, if that's your dominant psychic sense. So, what I was getting at is though, if your clairaudience is not strong, they could be talking and you're not hearing them. So move into feeling. Most people are really good feelers or knower. Those are the two ones that people. Those are the two um, psychic senses that most people really right off the bat are good with, feeling and knowing. Okay, so just move into those and just see if you can. The knowing is like receiving a thought, right? You receive a thought. Okay, you're not thinking a thought, you receive it. Okay, and so chances are they are speaking to you, Liv. Scarlet Witch, you do have spiritual. I don't call them gifts, right? I don't call them spiritual gifts because gifts mean some people get them, some people don't. Then who's handing them out, what determines if you get them. They're not gifts, because my experience and having worked with thousands of people is everybody can do it. Look, I used to do these in-person trainings, right? All of my stuff is mostly online right now. I do have some events, coming up that we'll be doing in person live, but most of my stuff's online. And before I came online, I was holding weekly spirit communication classes where I was doing two a week here locally in my Tampa Bay area, and they were huge. I did it for about 2 years. And what happened was, the way that I did the marketing is that people from all walks of life would show up, because people that wanted to learn about spirit communication, people that were excellent spirit communicators that just wanted to sharpen their skill, and then people that just were curious, that didn't really care about spirit communication, just wanted to learn a little bit more about spirits and the afterlife and all that stuff. They would all come to my trainings, right? And so we'd have people that had never heard of a chakra, never heard of a third eye, never heard of anything. Not even, we'd have people that would come in to straight troll the group. Also, they'd be like, "This is bullshit. You guys are crazy. None of this is real." Everyone that was able, like, even in the trolls, like the trolls, we would run them out of the class pretty quickly. But there's some that I wouldn't just kick them out, right? I would say, "Well, look, you're here now. Why don't you just drop all of that nonsense that you're talking about? Open yourself up to experience. What if you're wrong? What if you're wrong and you're missing out on something amazing? If you go through this entire class with an open mind, you can always, at the end of the class, change it back to whatever it is and go back to talking shit about us." And I'll tell you what, every single one of those trolls that would come sit in my classes that would do that would blow themselves away. Because here's the thing, in those trainings, or in those classes, they weren't just lectures. They weren't just me talking about spirit communication. We go to work, right? So everybody in the class, there's a point in the class where everybody gets together and pairs up and they practice read each other. I don't care who you are. If you're a troll, if you were somebody that was non-believer, if you're somebody that's never done it before. In most of the class, 80-90% of the class were people who'd never done it before. And so all of those people were, with just a few minutes of instruction, were able to do it and give detailed readings to each other. And every single time, I never had anyone come through one of my classes that couldn't do it. All right. And I mean, that's thousands of people over the past 4 years I've been doing this now. And it's just, that's why I can't call them spiritual gifts, because they're not gifts. They're abilities. We all have them. Every single person has them. Cyber Katie, you're in Miami. Okay, you're not too far. I'm in Tampa. I was born and raised in Miami. Paranormal investigators. What do you mean you've moved from light work to dark work? Dark work. Help me understand what you mean that a little bit more, because it kind of resonates with me, because I consider myself a shadow worker. I'm not a light worker either. I work in the darkness to bring shit to the light, right? I'm not all love and light and everything's airy fairy and unicorn farts. No, shit gets dark and I want to be there when it gets dark so I can help people, right? And that's what I do. I'm a trauma therapist. I specialize in trauma resolution, and that's the work that I do. I go dive into the deepest, darkest places of people's souls in order to help liberate themselves of some of the nastiest, stuckness, craziest experiences that they've ever gone through. And that's my calling. If that's what you're talking about, then I understand that. Ellen says, "They are energy. Why don't they let us know they are here? Most of the time I will sense them." Yeah, they do. They always let us know they're here. Most of us, what happens is that, You see, we're surrounded by spirits, right? There's no separate spirit world. Spirits don't have to come visit us. They're omnipresent, right? They're everywhere. And so um, all the dimensions are layered on top of each other, so you're always around spirits. Okay, there is no separate spirit world, separate place that's separate from this dimension, separate from this reality. All the dimensions are intertwined, and so we are constantly around spirits, and most of us just have dissociated from our abilities so well that we don't even notice when we're having an interaction. Yeah, Livian. So Liv, yeah. So when you read tarot cards, how the message just comes, that's that knowing. Yeah, that's that knowing. That's the claircognizant. It's that I know what I know without knowing how I know it. It's the gut feeling, right? Most people still have that because it's acceptable to have a gut feeling. You didn't have that gut feeling conditioned out of you. Okay. And then most people have the feeling, right? Most people can feel the emotion or can feel the energy, right? So those are the reason those are the two most common ones. Is number one, the gut feeling, it's still acceptable to have a gut feeling. Number two, the feeling part, the feeling of emotion and feeling of energy is conducive of somebody that grew up in a somewhat abusive or very abusive household, right? They had to constantly read the energy of their caregivers or read the energy of their environment to know whether they are safe or not. And so they're constantly feeling into the energy. That's why those are the two most common, is because, one is a survival mechanism and the other is still acceptable in society. You can go to work and say, hey, I got this gut feeling about this guy and it just doesn't sit well with me, right? And that's okay. And the same thing, you can go and be like, ooh, his energy feels kind of icky, right? And that's okay too. But if you go to your coworkers and say, my spirit guides told me to watch out for that guy, you're a fucking nut job. That's why claircognizance, that's why clairaudience, clairvoyance widely um, is widely do we have a present awareness of it more than we have of the feeling and knowing. That made sense. I'm kind of stumbling there on the words. What is the best crystal to carry through marriage separation? My friend needs guidance. Look, there is no best crystal for anything. They're just guides. The crystals, the elemental, the crystals aren't going to do the work for you. Okay, they're just guides that we can work with. I love my crystals. I was actually just at the gem show yesterday. There was a crystal and gem show that came to town. I took my kids to. It was fucking amazing. They had some really cool shit there. But anyway, those the crystals will never do the work for us. So the best thing for your friend is to get into therapy. Like that's the only thing that works. Therapy. And somebody that knows what they're doing. You need to talk to your therapist and interview them, not just go to somebody because they're on your insurance list. You need to interview them and get to know what their specific training is. Shining bright, hello. Yeah, you want to know your spirit guide's name? You ask them. Ask them, they'll give them to you. Some of them are really weird, fucked up names. Not fucked up, but some of them are really weird, weird names. M, hello, good to see you. Yeah, Critical Care Bear says, I randomly thought about a coworker from 10 years ago and found out she died that day. So yeah, that's you're probably picking up on the energy, or they might have even came to you, right? And that thinking of them could have been their presence in your awareness, and your awareness picking up on it. So it could have been either or. It really depends on what you were feeling. Can I unlock clairvoyance if I am knowing? I'm not sure. The third eye, I'm not sure exactly what you mean by that. Brandon, what's up, my friend? I'm doing well. How are you? Andy, you did a painting today and the painting was so dark. What does that mean to you? What do you feel it was reflecting? Yeah, paranormal investigator. It doesn't matter. I mean, the evil and dark stuff, the stuff that people call evil and dark and all that other stuff is just that energy is grossly misunderstood. Those are spirits that are no different than you and I. Everything comes from the light. And so when we talk about these heavier, denser energies, well, we're talking about spirits that are lost, that are trapped, that are lost in their own complexes, right? They're overtaken by their unresolved pain, and that unresolved pain can be anger, can be grief, can be depression, can be sadness, can be fear, or can be a combination of all of them together. And because those are uncomfortable emotions, and as society we've been conditioned to believe that those are bad emotions and that we should dissociate from them and that we should fear them and that we shouldn't feel them and that we should move away from them and not look at them every second that we get and try and get rid of those bad emotions rather than just move through them, we're taught to fear them. So when you feel another spirit emanating that energy, you're going to, of course, most people will fear it, and that's why that energy is misunderstood. And so if you're drawn to, if you're communicating with that type of energy, it's drawn to you for a reason. There's a reason that it's coming around. Blanding, who's this Blanding? I can't read your whole name. How to deal with childhood trauma. So here's the thing with childhood trauma. Childhood trauma is what wreaks havoc in our adult lives. What happens when we experience childhood trauma is that the pain that we experience goes unresolved. And that pain it's still held in the body. It's still held in the psyche. It's held in our energy field as well. And it creates what's called an unconscious complex, right? It creates like almost this entity that lives within yourself, and it makes decisions for you and runs your life, and you don't even realize it. For example, if you had overly critical parents, you're going to create a complex that was of lack of self worth. And so, your lens that you're going to view the world through is a lack of self worth. And so, that lack of self-worth complex is going to unconsciously make decisions in your life to put you in situations for you to feel that lack of self-worth, because that pain wants to express itself. So it's going to constantly make those decisions without you being aware of them, right? It's an unconscious process, and it's going to put you in that pain, right? You're going to put you in that situation, or you're going to make your decision to, and that pain's going to come up. And so the only way to deal with that is through is through trauma resolution. And that's what I do as a holistic therapist. Is I work my I specialize in trauma resolution, especially childhood trauma. And that's what we do. So basically what a session looks like me for my clients, what I work with, is we look at the presenting symptoms and what's going on, because most people don't even remember what happened to them in childhood, right? It was so traumatic, or it was such it's CPTSD, where it happened over and over and over and over and over. And so it's complex trauma. It's not just trauma, but it's complex trauma, because you had, caregivers or whatever that continually did the same thing to you over and over and over and over and over again. So a lot of people don't remember really what the originating event is. And especially if you come from a whole fucking history of trauma, you really don't realize that there's anything wrong until you start to unpack it and see that there's other alternatives to life. So when a client comes in, usually what they're coming in is with their presenting symptoms. Where most talk therapy, what they'll do is they'll talk about the symptoms that are going on and then either prescribe you medication to help you feel better or offer you different behaviors and alternatives in order to manage those symptoms. Hey, Erica, they'll give you some tools and techniques to manage those symptoms. But what I do with my clients is we move into the pain to unpack it, to release the charge that it holds over you. And the way that we do that is looking at the presenting symptoms that are in your life. We use the feelings that are coming up for you and the affect to bring you back into the emotion of what you're feeling, and to bring you into the originating incident that caused that material, that complex, to imprint in the psyche. And then from there, we unpack it. We slow it way down and we unpack the trauma. And basically, there's lots of techniques that we do that we go through and we dissipate the charge. We release the charge that that trauma carries over you. And once that charge is released, that's it. That complex is healed and it no longer unconsciously makes those decisions in your life. And we get to that, we do it in one session, right? That's all it takes. Therapy is not something that should take over and over and over and over. That's exposure therapy. If you're having to talk about your shit over and over and over, that's exposure therapy, and you want to stay away from that, right? Some people have to go to that in order to get their emotions opened up. But if you're already emotional and it's already tearing you apart, you're just like, it's just reliving it when you go to talk therapy. Okay. So that's pretty much what it's like, and if anybody's interested in scheduling, a therapy session with me, anybody interested in therapy, you can schedule a shadow work consultation at the link in my bio. The work that I do is not for everybody. I want to be upfront about that. The work that I do is not for everybody. It's very deep and it's very fucking intense. And the consultations that I do are free, but it's only to determine whether it'd be a good fit for you or not. I don't work with a lot of people. I actually turn down quite a few people because of the intensity of the work. And so that's why I do an interview first. So if you're interested in that, you can check it out at the link in my bio. Blanding, I hope that answered your question. I hope that's what you were looking for, is in regards to how to deal with childhood trauma. You really need to find a therapist that is trained, that has significant training in trauma resolution. So just ask them about it. Oh, Anne, that's cool. That's cool. I was just reading your comment down here. Yeah, third eye, I'm not sure about microdosing. I don't deal with any kind of microdosing. Mod Erica, Shining Bright, thank you so much for helping out. Travel PB, no, I don't know of any holistic therapists near, no, near Detroit. I'm in Florida, so everybody I know is in Florida. And, the therapists in this area that I'm at, they send me all their clients that they have problems with, that they're not able to get resolution with. So I do work with people from all over the world. My sessions are via Zoom, by the way, if I haven't mentioned that. And I do work with clients from all over the world. So, I mean, if you feel inclined to work with me, if not, you can go watch my playlist titled Trauma Shadow Work. And in there, it talks about, I have a couple videos in there that talk about how to find a qualified therapist and what to say. And it's literally, you can take the video, right? It's a part one and part two. You can take the video and play it for your therapist and be like, can you fucking do this? Right? And if they say yes, then you can ask them, well, what's your training and how do you did this? And then just listen. and just go with what, if they say, oh, well, I learned about that in school. No, 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 no. Schooling, like, that's the thing. That's why most therapy isn't effective, is because most therapists graduate from college and go open a practice. They don't go get specified training, and I'm completely upfront and honest with you guys, as well. I want to be full transparency here. I'm not credentialed either. I never went to school. I never went to college and got my degree in psychology. I never did that. But I've got more training and more background in trauma and trauma therapy than most practicing therapists that have been doing it for 20, 30 years. Because I went and I got the specific training that is needed. I bypassed the school. The school was bullshit. Okay. I bypassed all of that and I went and did the specified training. Okay. I've got multi-year trauma programs. I went through a regressive, I'm certified I'm a certified regressionist, and I had to go through a 4-year program just for that. And so then I have other trainings that are specific in trauma resolution and other transpersonal psychology models as well. I've been trained in psychodrama. I've been trained in Gestalt therapy. I've dabbled in Jungian analysis, as an Jungian analyst. And so there's all of these different trainings and so that's what your therapist should look like. Your therapist should not just have the school, but they should have all of this other training and background behind it. Whatever. Dell Lynn something designs. How do I talk to the ghost I saw? He left a message. Your ghost left a message? How did the ghost leave a message? That's pretty cool. Sounds like you are talking with him if the ghost left the message. But anyway, that's a general question. So I'm going to tell you, go to the link in my bio and download my spirit communication guide for free. It's the step-by-step process that I've used to teach thousands of people how to communicate with spirits. Use that guide to communicate with your ghost. Yeah, Jennifer, you want to communicate with spirits so bad? You can. It's very, very easy. It's very straightforward. You are ready right now. Okay? Just go check out my guide. Ask questions. Yeah, I don't use hypnotherapy. I don't believe in hypnotherapy as to treat trauma at all. Thanks for coming by, Paranormal. Yeah, critical care bear. It doesn't matter if the memories were locked away or not. It's a trained therapist will get you to where you need to go. Cyber Kitty, you think you're claircognizant. Okay, so you know what you know without knowing how you know it. That's a really common one. It's the gut feeling. We were talking about that earlier. Can spirits connect to people they do not have a connection to? Yeah, we can connect and communicate with any spirit. Absolutely. Hey, Margie. Akashic. I don't believe in the whole Akashic records, Hall of Records, downloads stuff. I think it's just energetic information anyone can tap into. Yeah, anyone who's interested, I have a training coming up this Tuesday. There's still some spots open. There's a training that I have coming Tuesday. It's a spirit communication training. It's only $25. It's a 2-hour training. And it's not me lecturing. It's not me sitting there telling you do this, do that. It's me. I grab 2 students from the Zoom meeting and I bring them to the front, put them on spotlight, and we get right to work. We get 2 at a time to practice read each other as I hold their hands and break them through any roadblocks or stumbling points that they may have. It's on a volunteer basis. I don't get to work with everyone on the call that's on the meeting one-on-one like that, but we get through as many people as I can possibly. And, you don't have to volunteer. You can sit in the back and just kind of check out and watch things. And whether you get called or get an opportunity to practice or not, you're going to learn a lot of things. You're going to see people that have never done this before break through the same things that you're struggling with. So you can register for my training at the link in my bio. It's only $25. I'm sure it'll sell out probably tonight or the next night. It usually sells out for sure the day before. So if it's something that you're interested in, just make sure you go and do it. I'm only doing these trainings twice a month. So the next one's at the end of the month, and you can see if that works better for you. They're at different times. So you can get to that. Just go to the link in my bio. It's under Spirit Communication Training. It's the best, most affordable training you'll ever get. You would pay hundreds of dollars, thousands of dollars to have the same sort of training. I'm not on mute. Did I lose you? Oh, thanks, guys. I had some students telling me to chiming in, saying how easy it is and amazing, and I appreciate it. Thanks, Margie. Thanks, Karen. Rachel, hi. Yeah, if your memories blocked from childhood, if you don't remember, portions of childhood, that's a sign that's indicative of trauma for sure. Lorraine Lorraine Edwards, five. Oh, Bonnie, who's trying to contact me? I don't know. Who does it feel like? Who do you feel is trying to contact you? What does it feel like when you feel into the energy of the one who's there? You should be able to go to the link in my bio. I don't know if somebody else could check to make sure. What happens is sometimes on these lives is a lot of people start going all at once and it might trip it up. But try again, Travel PB. Should be able to go to the link on link in my bio. I hope it's working. I've never had any issues before. Yeah, I see people. Yeah, there's people that are using it right now. I see. I get a little email every time somebody downloads the guide. Actually, I haven't got one in a little while. It should be working. Why do I constantly hear strong ringing in my ears? Here's the thing with ringing in the ears, it doesn't always mean that there's a spirit present. And if the fact that you hear it all the time, that makes me feel like it's more medical than anything. If you're constantly hearing it, I mean, that's definitely going to be something medical. But here's the thing, because it is common for people to talk about ringing of the ears. If you experience ringing of the ears, don't automatically assume that it's a spirit. What you want to do is the first time is when as soon as you experience ringing in the ears, is just kind of close your eyes, bring your awareness to your immediate environment, and begin to sense another energy source that's in there with you. Try and sense another presence that's in your immediate environment. If you sense another presence that's in your immediate environment every time your ears ring, then your ears ringing is part of what I call your spirit radar. Panic attack every time this day. That is also trauma. So our trauma is psychological, and so if there's something that happened to you around this time of day, it's the body reliving it. That's what panic attacks are. What does it mean to be super sensitive to everything? Like emotionally sensitive? What do you mean, Jennifer? Embrace with Love says, I'm starting to see shadows on the side on my side vision. Yeah, that's completely normal. What happens is your conscious mind is focused on whatever's in front of you, and in your peripherals, you're in the receptive state. So you're going to pick up on stuff, right? You're going to pick up on spirits throughout your peripherals and energy out of your peripherals because you're in the receptive state there. And so the key to that is until you start to learn how to really control your conscious mind is just don't look, right? Because as soon as you turn and look, it's gone, right? It's because you brought your awareness to it. So the key is that next time you sense that, don't turn around and watch what happens. It's pretty cool. So Kimmy says, I feel eyes or movement, often turn and look like I know exactly where they are, but I see nothing. Yes, that is exactly what it feels like when you're in the presence of another spirit, right? It's that feeling that somebody's looking at you, right? That's the feeling that we can get. And so, if you look and see nothing, you're not going to see it with your physical eyes. That is just, we need to stop. Like most people. So here's the thing. Let me explain. I'm going to go off on a tangent for a second, but I'm going to come full circle. I promise. So when I was doing my in-person classes, right, I did my in-person classes for years. I worked with thousands of people doing in-person. And one of the things is whenever somebody new would show up to my class, I would always ask them, what do you expect your spirit communication experience to look like? And every one of them would say some version of the following. Well, I expect the spirit to manifest itself physically, and I see it clear as day with my eyes, just like I see any other person. And I expect it to reach out. Oh, there we go. And I expect it to reach out and touch me and say, hey, you want to sit down and have a conversation? Then I expect to sit down and have a conversation and go back and forth with that spirit like I would any other spirit. And that is completely wrong. If you're waiting for that to happen, you're missing out. That probably will never happen in your lifetime. Is it possible? Yes, but it's so extremely rare, and it probably will never happen in any of our lifetimes, right? So we need to just forget about it happening in that way. What spirit communication looks like, what every single psychic and medium, what they talk about when they see and they hear a spirit, is they're seeing with their mind's eye. It's the same way you see a memory, or the way that you close your eyes right now. Close your eyes right now and see and remember the room that you're in. The way that you're seeing the room that you're sitting in with your eyes closed right now is the same exact way you see a spirit, except the difference is you're not recalling the image. You're not recalling the imagery. You're receiving the imagery. Okay. And that's what it is. And so, um, you know, when you get that feeling, Nicole, or is it Nicole? Gosh, I lost my spot now. I forgot who I was even talking to here. My comments shifted and I missed whoever that was. Oh, here it is. Kim. Kim. So next time you get that feeling, right? Instead of looking and trying to find something with your physical eyes, try and see it in your mind's eye. The feel that feeling that you get that somebody's looking at you and you know exactly where they are. That's really good that you know exactly where they are. What I want you to do is I want you to sense the energy and see the energy in your mind's eye. The same way you're going to recall an image. I want you to close your eyes and look at that spot and then tell me what you see with your eyes closed, right? It's going to be a whole different experience for you. I don't know what glass. I see your spam comment. I have no idea what glass breaking is. Okay, I know you're saying that you have random glass breaking. I don't know. Like, what do you feel that is? What's happening? What's going on? When you're thinking, when you're feeling that. I started seeing lights, rainbows, orbs with my physical eyes. Doctor says my eyes are fine. Well, that's cool. That's awesome. Yeah, we can see energy with our eyes, right? But it's very difficult. Like even as you start to really come into your spiritual abilities, right? Bring the awareness back into your spiritual abilities, you will start to see like little wisps of smoke. You will see like faint little outlines of things, but you're not going to see a spirit in the way that you see a human. Mama Fenton, good question. Why are they still around us? Why aren't they moving on? Because there is no separate place for them to move on. Spirit world is right here. All the dimensions, everything is interlaced, woven into one string. For a lack of a better term, just that for illustration purposes, everything is happening in one place. And it's a matter of turning your perception, right? My fingers look different here, but if I turn them this way, they look completely different. Same fingers, but you're getting a lot of different information. And the same thing, if I turn them this way, you're getting a lot more different information, but it's all right here. And it depends on how that, what you're viewing at, what angle you're viewing it at is the perception and what you see. Okay, the same thing. Spirit world is right here. Third dimension is right here. All dimensions exist right here. Okay, but what are we looking at? It's not that they need to move on anywhere. It's just that they are. We're constantly around spirits because everything is right here, right now. Embrace with love. That's pretty cool. So, embrace with love says, I taste smells instead of smell it. Yes, that does make sense. I understand what you're saying. Why do they communicate like that? That's just, it's not that they are communicating in that way. It's just that is your dominant psychic sense, because that's what's coming through the easiest for you at the moment. So you're going to lead with that, and you're going to let that information build upon your other senses. Let the information that you receive from that build up your other senses, and you'll eventually, they'll all be active and firing just as dominant as that one. Okay. But that's pretty cool. Most people don't have that for a dominant sense. That's really cool that you have that. What's the feeling? What's happening when it feels like you're falling and dropped when sleeping? There is a medical term for that. I can't remember what it is, but it's like the babies when they just get startled. It's the same principle. I forget what it's called, but there's a medical term for that. Opening third eye. There is no third eye to open. You don't have to do any of that stuff. You don't have to do anything with the third eye, nothing with a chakra. You don't have to have any special meditation. You're ready right now, immediately. You can communicate with spirits right now, this second. And as a matter of fact, you're interacting with spirits all the time on a daily basis. There's not a day that goes by that you're not interacting with spirits. We're just so dissociated from our abilities that we brush it off, or we don't even notice it because we're so dissociated from the interaction. But it's happening every day, always. And it's about us bringing an awareness to how that's happening, and you can bring an awareness to it immediately. It does not take any training time or anything. You can do it right now. Go to the link in my bio and download my spirit communication guide for free, and it will walk you through the step-by-step process. Okay, and if you want a more personalized, individualized approach, and if you want to see people do this work that have never done it before, come to my training. I have a training on Tuesday. It's only $25. It's not me sitting there telling you do this, do that. It's not me talking at all. I grab two volunteers from the Zoom meeting. I put them on the spotlight. We go right to fucking work. I take people that have never done anything like this before, and they practice read the other students. Okay, they go through it and they break through their roadblocks. Okay, they break through their barriers, they break through their insecurities. Anything that's preventing them from immediately communicating with the spirit, they move through it right then and there in front of everybody and give detailed, evidential, fact based information with 99% accuracy their first time. Okay, so if you're interested in that, it's on a volunteer basis. I'm not able to work with everyone in the group one-on-one like that. It is a volunteer basis. So even if you don't get called, or even if you don't want to volunteer, you're going to see some remarkable things happen. You're going to see people break through the same things that you're struggling with. All right. So go check that out. It's Spirit Communication Training. You can register for it at the link in my bio. Right. I have it coming up on Tuesday. There's a few spots left for Tuesday. If that's sold out, I have another training that's coming up at the end of the month. So just go pick which one works for you the best. Scotty Mac, bun man right here, baby. Got the bun in full force tonight. Do the spirit world use symbols to communicate like drawing of an eye? Yes, they absolutely do. But here's the way that I treat symbols, because spirit communication is so effortless and so easy. When I notice a spirit that's communicating with symbols, I'll say, look, enough with the symbols. Just let's talk. Let's have it out. I don't want to figure out what this shit means. Just tell me what's going on. What do you mean? Don't show me an eye. I don't care about the anchor. What does the anchor mean? Just tell me. What does the eye mean? Just tell me. Right? And so that's the way that I handle symbols. Same thing for signs. When you're noticing the repeating numbers, when you're noticing the feathers, or all the other little signs that are loved, with the flickering of the lights, the signs that are, or the cardinal that flies by every day and swoops and has coffee on your, on your banister with you in the morning. All of those signs are just indicators that our loved ones are wanting to communicate with us. And so rather than trying to decipher, well, what's the meaning of a cardinal, what's the meaning of 333, or what's the meaning of this, or what's the meaning of that, what we need to do is just bring an awareness to our immediate environment and say, I'm aware of you. I know that you are here. Please talk to me in a way that I can understand you. And let's just talk. I don't want to figure out what the symbols mean, what the signs mean. Let's just talk. And so that's the way that I handle symbols and signs from our loved ones, or our spirit guides even. What if you fight against the spirit communication process? Then it's not going to work for you. I mean, you don't want to fight against it. Why would you do that? Sue Stone. So here's the thing: just go to the link in my bio and download my spirit communication guide, and you'll know exactly how to use it. Are there bad spirits? No, there aren't bad spirits. There's misunderstood spirits. Spiritual goddess, I ask the same question every time and it never gets answered. What question do you ask? Face switching can be a sign of is what I call spirit radar. That can be one of the signs that a spirit is in your presence, among many other things, but that can be one of them. So that's what allows us to know when we're in the presence and when we're connected with spirits. It's the sensations that we get in our body, and those sensations that we get in our body, I call them spirit radar. Oh, embrace with love. So good. Such a good question. If we heal more of our trauma, does our abilities come stronger, or is that a myth too? Your abilities go through the roof, skyrocket, fucking skyrocket to the next level. Because here's the thing: the process and our abilities are so easy, so straightforward, so simple that we can understand everything intellectually, but it's our insecurities that prevent us from really coming into them and utilizing them to their fullest potential. And that is it. That is the only thing that stands in between us actualizing our full spiritual potential or not, is our fucking insecurities. And so the more of those that we deal with, the more of those that we dive deeper into, and the more of that pain we excavate from the bowels of our soul and bring to the fucking light, the more of that we do, man, not only do your abilities take off and go crazy, but you experience life changing fucking phenomena. I mean, I can't describe to you the amount of changes that I've experienced in my life. I never thought 20 years ago, 10 years ago, I never thought that I could feel as good as I do right now. And each time I do go through some major shit and have a breakthrough, I'm like, oh my God, it brings me to fucking tears because I can't believe that it gets better than this. And so I feel that leveling up each time I go through something major. How do you know if the spirit's passed on to a new life? You really don't know. There's no way of telling, but you can still communicate with them no matter what. Because the spirit is not, the spirit is there's a non-physical aspect of ourself that is huge, that is massive, that is immense, okay? And it's only a small portion of our energy that gets projected into a physical body that incarnates into the physical dimension. The rest of us remains non-physical, and that non-physical part of ourselves holds all of the memories and personalities from every single past life that we've ever had. So that's how we can channel. It doesn't matter how many lives ahead that they've lived. You can still communicate with any spirit. Liz, thanks so much for that. I appreciate that. Do I look good with that little bit of like eyeshadow down there? Is that eyeshadow? Is that where you put eyeshadow? Some pink eyeshadow? Oh, my girls would love that. They already painted my toes. They would love to frickin' put some makeup on me. Thank God they're not into makeup yet. Huh. Thank God. They paint my toes all the time. And that's my boundary. We're not doing dad's nails. You can do my toes. I got boundaries. Can human souls reincarnate as trees and animals and trees? So here's the thing. There's no such thing as a human soul. A human is a container. Just like an animal is a container and the tree is the container. The spirit is the spirit. And yes, it is possible for a spirit to have a life as a human and then the next life as an animal or tree, but that's called de-evolution. And there would have to be a significant reason for that, which gets pretty deep when we move into all of that. And we talk about the evolution of consciousness and the evolution, our evolutionary intent on a soul level. And then it ties in with karma and our energetic signature and different things. It is said that Hitler de-evolved, and he went back into that he was reborn. There's a friend of mine, psychic, that he says that he believes that Hitler had reincarnated as a baby that was born with no arms and no legs. Like the movie Sixth Sense. Man, that movie was so long ago. I don't even remember that movie Sixth Sense. I remember watching it, but it's so long ago. I can't remember. Those are my pot smoking days. My memory's like Gail Webster. Yeah, they tickle my nose too. I get the itch, right? The face itch. That's another sign. The cobwebs on the face. Yeah, that's another spirit radar. Any wisdom on astral projection? Yeah, go check out the Monroe Institute's material. That's not my specialty. I have no idea what's going on there. I mean, I know what's going on, but I couldn't tell you how to do it. Do you ever worry the spirits that you talk to are demons? Well, demons, that energy is grossly misunderstood. And probably by your definition, yeah, I have spoken to some demons and I've helped them realize their true nature. And I've helped them realize that they're no different than you and I. And whenever they release that heavy energy that they're carrying around, boom, they're fucking beautiful and from the light, just like you and I are. Okay. So, yeah, to answer your question, yeah, I probably have spoken to what you would consider a demon, and I've helped it. Cassie, no, I don't hear them audibly. Not all the time, right? Every once in a while, I'll get a whisper or something, but not audibly. It's more like a thought. You hear it like a thought, like the same way you hear your thoughts, except you're not the thinker of the thought, you're the receiver of the thought. That's the way that I hear. And mostly, I'm really really dominant in my clairaudience, and so it's like I have these movie reels dropped in my head. That's what it's like. Especially working psychically, it's like I have these. It's just like when I'm working with somebody, especially in session, I just get all of these pictures dropped in my head. Does death scare me? I'll be honest, a little bit. It does. It would. I have young children. I have young children, and I love them, and I could tell you I'm way more at terms of dying and death and all that whole stuff now than prior to my spiritual awakening. But am I to say that I don't fear death? That would not be accurate. I definitely don't want to die. And I don't want to die before my kid, before I'm an old man and, I've got to spend years and years and years with my kids. That's one thing that I'm afraid that I wouldn't say that I fear, but it's just not something I want to happen, right? I'm in no rush to leave. I do understand that it'll happen and that I am at terms with that. And I do feel good, but it's not something I'm completely resolved with, to be honest. Little girl laughing while playing with his kids. Do you believe we all come back? Yeah, I know for a fact that we all come back, from my own personal experiences, right? Yeah, I mean, I've been regressed, like full on regressed, almost close to 30 times, right? And so that's 30 past lives. I'm talking about lives on other planets and shit. And then there's little snippets that I have of other lives that I definitely hadn't been regressed through that I recall. So yeah, for me, that's all the evidence I need. I mean, I know that I've been here for a while. Do you feel people's energy in the physical and on the other side? Yeah, absolutely. We're all spirits. We can feel spirit's energy, right? It doesn't. And here's the thing: you can channel somebody's spirit that's still alive because a portion of them is non-physical. They don't have to be dead for you to communicate with the spirit of that person. Slow says my radar is tingling, chills, starting at the center mass and radiating out. Yeah, so that's one of the things. I get the shivers up the spine, the tingles on top of the head. My heart feels like it's expanding. Those are all signs that you're in the presence of a spirit. and then more. And then there's some that are very unique to each individual. Like like the one for me, like I broke my leg really bad in 2014, and the spot where the break was, I feel that tingle and vibrate like crazy whenever I'm in the presence of a spirit. And it has something to do with the energetic and the energetic ripple that there was a lot of energy that released in that area. It was like a shotgun went off when I broke my leg. And so there's something about the energy released there that's where it's very super super sensitive now. And so that was the awareness that I bringing the awareness to my body is what allowed me to understand that was what was happening. And so there are some very common spirit radar signs, but there are also some very unique ones to each person. And it's all about bringing that awareness. And the more awareness you have of what's going on, the more that you're going to get scooped up and picked up in that energy of spirit and be pushed along, the more that your communication with that spirit and spirit world is going to be effortless and easy and without any doubt. It's all about bringing awareness to the body. Deb, you're in Sarasota. Hey, you're real close to me. I'm in Tampa. How do you know what's your thought or if you're receiving a message or communication from spirit? That is, what is your name? Flores? Flores. That is a very common thing that everybody asks. And so it's through feeling. It feels different when it's your thoughts. And that's the whole key to the whole thing of everything is understanding what it feels like when it's your thoughts and understanding what it feels like when it's a spirit. It's bringing that awareness. And the only way that you're going to be able to tell that and bring an awareness to it all the time is by actually doing it and actually communicating and practice reading for other people. Come to my training. That's what we do. That's literally what I do with people is I help them understand the difference between their thoughts and feelings. I mean, thoughts and communication. Oh, Liz, I know Ozona. My brother lives in Tarpon Springs. That's a cool little town, Ozona. Orlando, look at all my Florida peeps in here. What's happening? Yeah, so bipolar disorder. Bipolar is bipolar disorder. I believe that all so-called mental illness is just strictly a trauma response. It's an overactive nervous system, and I believe that that's what that is. And sometimes the same things that cause us those some of those trauma responses, there's some things that are indicative of spirit communication as well. Like we talked about earlier, the feeling and needing to read the energy of the room to know whether you're safe or not. That's clairsentience. That's exactly what it is. And so a lot of people have been labeled mentally ill, have these really strong sensitivities to spirit world, but that doesn't go out to say that it's a spiritual event, right? It's really both, and that's walking a fine line. Like we need to be very careful when we're being treated for these mental illnesses, right, or these labeled mental illnesses. We need to be very careful when we're doing this work with spirit that we stay very, very grounded. Anyone who's under the treatment, bipolar, schizophrenic, multiple personalities, any of that stuff, you need to make sure that you stay grounded when you're doing this work. Mental health is so important. It's not something to be neglected, and it's something to be taken serious. And there's a very toxic trait out in the spiritual community that says all mental illness is a spiritual gift, and that is fucking wrong. That is fucking wrong. Mental illness is a trauma response, and it must be treated accordingly. Okay, and from a very I like to look at it from a holistic standpoint, but sometimes traditional medicine can be very helpful as well. Kib, sounds like you got a sensitive dog. Yeah, our animals are sensitive, very sensitive as well to spirit communication, spirits. Oh, Arlene Savage, I just saw you ask the question about bipolar too. Yeah, so that's the thing, Arlene. Just to make sure anybody that's, like I said, just grounded, staying grounded, it's the same thing. You want to make sure you're really, really grounded. And if you're having a hard time grounding and staying, within that egocentric structure, then you do not want to work in spirit realms, because spirit realm in itself can be sometimes a dissociative energy and can pull you out of that. You have to have a very strong egocentric structure. You have to have the psychological makeup has to be very strong, in order to do this work. And so, yeah, and so I would, anybody that's working that with bipolar or any other mental illnesses, I would definitely, highly recommend you start working with somebody, not only your psychotherapist and your psychiatrist, but also, get into some holistic therapy, some trauma resolution, some trauma works in the EMDR, some other stuff, the stuff that I do, rapid breakthrough technique. All of those things are going to help you tremendously. So don't just rely on the medication and talk therapy. And I'm not saying throw that stuff out either. Okay, I want to be clear. Travel PB. So it says Travel PB says, I'm adopted. Wish I could communicate with my mom. No idea if she's dead or alive. Well, you can. You can, because you're part of her energy. You came through her. So you absolutely can. And you don't need to know whether she's dead or alive. My guide can help you do that, just with the intent of wanting to connect with your mother, whether she's dead or alive. It doesn't matter. You can still connect with the non physical portion of her. Can we communicate with spirits better under plant medicine? Yes, and the only reason why is because it depends, right? If you've never done anything like this before, yes, and it's because it completely wipes out your conscious mind and you're completely dissociated and not grounded at all. And it can be very random. You sometimes you don't have a whole lot of control over it. Not that there's anything wrong with that, because when you do plant medicine, if you're going to a shamanic ceremony within a spiritual container and you're not just drinking, smoking DMT on the couch with your buddies, right? You're doing it in a spiritual container with a shaman that knows what they're doing and that is from the Amazon, right, or the Andes, and that has worked in the jungle and lived in the jungle their entire life, and it's not something they went to school and got certified in, right? It's something that they were passed down from family to family to family, and they learned it in the jungle or high in the Andes in the mountains. Okay, those types of ceremonies create the proper spiritual container for you to have some pretty cool conversations with spirits. But here's the thing, it's not necessary once you learn how to get out of your own way. And it's pretty easy to do that. And I don't recommend people going to plant medicine ceremonies to learn how to communicate with spirits, because you're going to rob yourself of so much more opportunity. Plant medicine is a very sacred process. And there's a lot of that can happen in that when you open yourself up to it, and you just don't go running searching for it. Let it find you. That's all I'm going to say about it. Yeah, crypto bear. Plant medicine can help heal trauma too. Yeah, that's one of the many things. Hey everybody, I just want to let you know, I want to know we got a bunch of new people that just hopped on here. I just want to let everybody know that I have a training coming up Tuesday. It's only $25. It's a group training. It's not me lecturing. It's not me saying, hey, do this, do that. It's where we go right to work. I literally grab two people from, two volunteers from the group at a time, and we practice read each other, and I literally hold their hands and walk them through it, their stumbling points, their breakthroughs, their roadblocks, any problems that they're having. I literally walk them through the experience in order for them to do it. And in these trainings, you'll see people that have never done this before go through and communicate with the spirit and give evidence, details, and facts with 99% accuracy, having never done this before. And you're going to get to see exactly how they do that. Okay, if you don't get the opportunity to work one on one with me in that training. So I know the Tuesday's training is almost full. So if that sounds like something that you want to go to, it's only $25. Make sure you go there now and register. I have another one that's coming up at the end of the month. It's at a different time. You can get that. You can check that out at the link in my bio under Spirit Communication Training. Also, if you're in the link in my bio, you can look at other ways that you can work with me one on one. I have some services available in there as well. The most important thing that you can do, though, is download my Spirit Communication Guide. It's free, okay? And it's the step by step process that I've used to teach everyone. Okay, thousands of students are successfully communicating with that guide. You can go, I have a playlist called Reviews on my TikTok where you can go through and look at some of the comments people are saying about the experiences they had with that guide. It is amazing, and it is free, and it is the best spirit communication content that you will find out there, even paid. Okay, so go check that out. Make sure you download that. That being said, guys, I'm going to wrap up. I'm getting a little tired tonight. I'll go live again another night. Probably tomorrow. I'll go live again before my training. Tuesday I won't be live. Check out my content. Check out what everything else that I've got going on here to learn. And this is the reason I do these lives. I want to jump on here and answer your questions and help you connect and help you in any way that I can. So I appreciate you all hanging out. I appreciate all the questions. Love to you all. Until next time.